This evening's rebroadcast of the Jasper State of the City address is being brought to you exclusively by Springs Valley Bank and Trust, where the focus is on you.
Well, let me just say it's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be here today. I think maybe the large turnout, probably half of you have gotten the date mixed up. You probably wanted to be here next week when you have the bluegrass. You hear the music, you're going to be disappointed. Let me introduce some special folks that are here today that you usually don't see, and maybe we can talk at least some of them into becoming members of the Kiwanis. And that's Juanita Boehm, the Clerk Treasurer of the City of Jasper. And Tom Schmitt, City Councilman. And Ray Howard, the City Councilman. And we have Vic Canese, who's a member of the Board of Public Works and Safety. And then my able-bodied assistant, Adam. We kind of went over this, and he's running the mechanical part of this and has all the technology. I've tried to talk to him, like the old vaudeville magicians, and they'd always have an assistant wearing fishnets, hose, but Adam wouldn't go for that today. He said, no way, but I'll run your program. And then Lois, she volunteered to wear the fishnet, and I said, no way, Lois, you just became a grandma. Lois also became a grandmother this week, and it's number one, right? And then we have Sandy, our city attorney, who just got well paid for this attendance by winning the half the pot. And then Dave Sager, who's my guest here today. Actually, this is the first time I've delivered a State of the City with the help of a slideshow or a PowerPoint. We kind of picked that up from Mayor Kemp, so you can tell him for at least for a little while he'll feel fine that I'm bragging on him, but we'll work on that a little bit later too. But I just want to say that the City of Jasper is financially strong, secure, and economically vibrant. But there's always room for improvement, and there's future challenges facing the City of Jasper in order for us to keep Jasper the way it is and improve on what we have, especially as state legislators attempt to manage cities and towns at the state level. It becomes a real challenge when the state legislature affects how we run our government at the local level. But we're going to talk more about that later. Talk about community involvement. Adam, if I'm going too fast, you just wink at me or something. We have many exciting projects going on around the city, and the number one is RoJack. RoJack is an important part of our future through the revitalization of our past. And we think RoJack is an area that we are going to be able to help the economy of the City of Jasper through tourism and making things happen and making a nice place for people to want to come and visit. We're going to, if you haven't belonged and joined RoJack, we're going to ask all of you to be a participant in RoJack. This is the area that we're talking about that RoJack has an effect over. We looked at the river where Jasper originated, down with the Enlow Mill, which is called the Eckert Mill, since it changed ownerships and gone through many different ownerships before it was eventually torn down. And our efforts are to recreate that mill and rebuild that mill. But before we got to that point, we're also talking about the train depot, which we'll talk about in a little bit later, and some other areas that are trying to revitalize that area along the river. One of the things that we're working on is a zoning overlay for that area. And as you can kind of see, I know from the back maybe you can't really make it out, but there's red lines and yellow lines. Those are future, and a blue line across the top. Those are future walkways that will all interconnect to the downtown area and incorporate the downtown area. By a zoning overlay, what we mean there is that we would be restrictive in some areas for that area, but less restrictive in others. For example, we may have more more lax on signage, the number of signs on a building, but more restrictive on the type of signs. If we're trying to recapture our past, we certainly don't want a lot of bright neon signs down there, but we may be more lenient on larger signs or different types of signs, or a number of signs. Another area is that while we may restrict the color and the type of buildings that may be allowed down there, we would allow you to build closer and not adhere to the strict setbacks that we have. So it's an overlay area that really would affect the downtown area. And then as we look at this area and focus down a little bit smaller along the river and the real Rojack area, such as the mill, the depot, the old barn that we're going to talk about, maybe there we would look at financial incentives to get that area developed. Moving on to our projects, the Spirit of Jasper. The train is a Rojack project. We were able to purchase this train through federal surplus through the Crane Naval Depot. It consists of the diesel engine and 2 passenger cars at this time. We're looking for maybe to obtain another train passenger car through construction project on Crane that involves Cremp Lumber Company, and part of their contract is to remove that passenger car or that train car from the construction site. It's currently being used at Crane for some type of a mobile office. It is sitting on tracks, but the tracks on either end of the train car has been removed. So we have a good option of being able to get that car. If you want to go to the next slide, Adam, this is the interior of one of the cars that we have at this time. This car was originally called a mortuary car, and it was used after World War II as a coffin car or mortuary car. As you can see, there is a long bench going down the middle of it with seating on either side of that. And we're going to completely redo this car inside and out. It'll have a bright new color on it, probably going to be green, and then redo the complete inside and make it into a lounge car or a club car, similar to what you see here. There will be nice train cars that will be a real plus for the tourism in our area, where people, maybe your company, would want to show client appreciation or customer appreciation and rent the car and take it to French Lick. That is our overall goal, that this train car will run from Jasper to French Lick. And we think initially it'll be started out by entire rentals of the car. Maybe for Don Book here might want to take all of his employees up there for a Christmas party. And it'll have a bar. You can enjoy a cocktail on the way up to French Lick. Spend a few hours in French Lick and then make the trip back to Jasper. The timetable on this happening, we're really not sure. We think that we'll have the first car done. We're hopefully we'll have it done by Strassenfest or close to Strassenfest on the car. But the real holdup might be the refurbishing of the tracks from Huntingburg to French Lick. That track is owned by the Indiana Historical Railroad Association, and they have grants to redo that stretch of track from Huntingburg to Du Bois. It's part of the Far Best expansion there through a TIF incentive, and to get the track in shape up to Du Bois. And then there's 2 other grants that the Indiana Historical Railroad Association has to fix the tracks from Du Bois up to French Lick. We've had a lot of inquiries by the casino up there when this is going to happen, how this is all going to happen. So we think that the matching money will be there when it's time to get the track redone. We're going to move on to the depot. This is the area down on South Jackson Street before we started on the Rojack project of rebuilding the depot. These houses are now gone, and this is what sets down in that area. It's the train depot. Just kind of a slow start, but it's been a real success story. There were 68 meetings and events that were scheduled at the depot last year, and more than 6,000 people participated in the events or meetings at the depot. The special events included the history train. There's an interior of it, used as a meeting room. Am I going too fast for you, Adam? the history train, which was viewed by over 3,000 people. And what an asset to have come to our community for the local schools. Many of the local schools from Du Bois County and surrounding counties brought their students in to learn more about Indiana history. We can go to the next slide. And their Civil War reenactment was trying to recruit some students. Evidently, the guy was taking his reenactment real serious. He didn't know that the Civil War was over with, and he was trying to get these kids to join and go in the Indiana infantry. But besides the history train, we've used it for old Jasper days. The Indianapolis Colts, when they come to town on their marketing jamboree early in the season, have used the depot. And during Old Tannenbaum days, we give train rides for the Christmas season, and also has an artist sale from the area artists set up there. And the area that we tore the old houses down is a farmer's market, and we think that that's going to be utilized a lot more this year than its first initial year in 2006. To schedule the use of the train depot or that area, the best person to talk to is Richard Pearson. We call him our depot agent. Richard is a part-time employee for the Parks Department and usually works during the summer at the golf course for a limited amount of time. He is a railroad enthusiast and has volunteered to kind of head up the organization of the depot. And if that fails, you contact Lois Kuntz, my assistant. Her and Richard are in contact almost daily on the rental of the depot. We want to see the train depot used as much as possible. Another part of the Rojack initiative is the log barn. And we just had a program from Joe Roletter a couple of weeks ago at the Kiwanis. So we won't go into a lot of depth on that, but for new faces, this log barn was donated, originally was in the Schaefer family, was donated through the Leverhusen family, which are descendants of the Schaefers. And it's a 80-foot long, 40-foot wide, pristine log barn that was about to be removed from the county and head out west somewhere when the Leverhusen family said, we want to see this history remain in the area, and offered it to donation to Rojack. What's so neat about this barn and what you see today, this is about the condition as it's in, but it does have the metal roof on it, which was put on a week or so ago, is that all of this work has done by volunteers. Volunteers tore the barn down, marked all the numbers, stored it in one of the local factories that have not in use presently, and then reassembled it. Volunteers included a group of friends from Joe Roletter. I know Kenny Brosmer is heavily involved in that, and several others in that group. Also, the Ramey Eckerly from the street department, and the street department also contributed to helping erect the barn. But also, businesses like Fleck Roofing helped put up the roof. Kirstein's built on the extra side portion you see there. And what was not done in volunteer help or materials, there was money donated to this project to get it to where it's at now. And the uses of the barn, it's going to be used as our historical past for agriculture in Du Bois County. They'll during the old Jasper days and during events such as that, there will be demonstrations maybe such as horseshoeing, or how a lot of the old antique type of farm equipment was used, and we'll have volunteers that would do that. So again, this is all down in the Rojack area, and we think that it's going to tie in very nicely to that project. Then the mill. As you may recall from the past, that we received a $900,000 transportation enhancement grant to reconstruct the old Eckert mill, and the information that we have, that bid could be let on that as early as March. And so we anticipate this year that we'll actually see construction starting on that. We know that there's several well-qualified contractors in the area that are interested in bidding on that. As far as future uses of it, part of the condition of the Transportation Enhancement Grant, it's going to be a welcome center, but it is going to be a working mill. We already have purchased through Rojack all of the inner workings of an operating mill. And so we're going to grind grain there, corn and other grain, so we would be making a product. We hope that someone will take that on. We have some people that have talked to Rojack about the actual operation of the mill, and so we think that there will be a good use for that. But number one, it has to be for a welcome center. The timetable on that, the construction of it will obviously depend a lot on the level of the river. There are certain times when you can't get in the river because of DNR, but there's also certain times you don't want to get in the river because of the river level. And the project will be started on sometime this year, and the completion of it may be in the future. Moving on to city projects. We're going to talk about annexations in 2006 and 2007. What you have there is a map of the city of Jasper, and the shaded light purple colors are areas that we're going to talk about annexing. The area, we've annexed over 560 acres into the city limits, and Brookstone 2 and 3 are on the far west, the little square side, and it's about 33 acres there. This is a nice subdivision of very nice homes in that area that, and I think most of those lots have pretty well been sold and have been built on. And Seminole Stone is down on 231 South, the kind of bigger square. This was the old Burger Farm. It's directly across from Sternberg's Motor Company. There's 36 acres there. This will be either commercial or industrial or light industrial. Then also on 162 and Meridian Road, there's 96 acres. It's kind of to the corner there. This is going to be developed. It'll be commercial, and hopefully we've been talking with Don Book and Rural Electric, and that will be their new home located on that site for the REA. There's a church that's just opened last Sunday that's on that property. Most of that, again, will be either commercial or industrial, and conceivably some of that in the top part maybe be a little residential. The Hof property, which is 11, almost 12 acres down on the very south 231, that's Hope Equipment, and they'll be putting on a commercial lot there for the sale of tractors and lawn equipment. Windsong, 170 acres at the very top of the screen. The Windsong addition is out on Portersville Road and County Road 400 North. Development on both sides there, about 40 acres, but the rest of it is already built in. In this annexation, we will take in the trailer court, and this became effective at the end of January. Another annexation is Timber Creek. It consists of 215 acres, and it's west on 56. It's actually big part of it being developed by Mike Hoaksong, and it's going to be a great addition to the city limits of Jasper, to the city of Jasper. But it does take in the Shiloh Church, and then there's the property that's north of 56, which would be another subdivision, and it would actually come off of the end of West 15th Street, and that may be follow the big portion of Timber Creek, but that whole area has been annexed for future development, and that will mainly be residential. On this same slide, you can't really see it because it's a thin line in front of the high school there, and it's the walking path. Our plan is to expand off of the Riverwalk, which has been such a great asset to the city of Jasper as far as just promotion of entertainment and health and activities that revolve around families walking and being together. We want to continue that path and try to make a circle around the city of Jasper so people can get onto this walkway from virtually any neighborhood they live in. But this first link we're trying to complete in 2007 would be from Sheeter Road south to the Hobbick Center. And this is through a grant that we've received, and when we originally got the grant, we had the parameters that we had to live by, and during the time we got the grant to the time we actually ready to start construction, things have changed there. We need more right-of-way, and we're currently working with private individuals to get the right-of-way. Originally, we thought we had enough right-of-way to build the path that the city already has, and then they came along and state said you got to have at least 5 feet from the back of the curb to the walkway, and that put us outside of the right-of-way that we have, and we need a few feet from some people, so we're working on getting that from them. This walking path here, we're going to do it a little different than on the river walk. If you've ever been down along the river by Casino Astar, where you've got a nice blacktop walking path that has a ribbon of concrete on both sides or a curb, so it stays nice and crisp looking. That's the type of walkway we want to put there in front of the high school. Moving on to transportation. This is a picture of North Mill Street, and last year we widened and resurfaced Mill Street, the Portersville Road out in front of the new middle school, Truman Road, 12th Avenue, and East 17th Street. And what we tried to do on roadways like this, where we've actually, when it was annexed, it was narrow, probably a county road, and we tried to maximize the right-of-way that we have. Sometimes we can't always get to our 40-foot width, but it makes it a lot safer and a lot nicer, and this has been a great project for Mill Street, and the same way with the Portersville Road. Well, when we do this type of work and we improve the streets, we do that to move traffic and move traffic safely. And when moving traffic, it's hard to move traffic when it's 25-mile speed limit. So we looked at the speed limits on certain streets, and after an extensive study from the engineering department, have raised speed limits in certain streets and certain areas that are meant to carry traffic from 25 to 30 miles per hour, still feeling it's very safe within a built-up residential area. We also widened the Hillside Drive, and that's behind the Hampton Inn. The Houselmans are working on a piece of property there to make a conference center. And if you've been out that way, you've seen the big wall, and we had to improve the road on top of it, not only for drainage but also safety, and widen that area. So we did that last year. The engineering department continues to do traffic counts and speed studies, and I better speed up here. We're going to be here for all afternoon. So we're looking at all of the improved traffic flow and trying to do it as safe as we can. As you are well aware of, you've been through Jasper last year. NDOT resurfaced US 231, and I think they did a great job on that to keep traffic flowing as best as they could while that was under construction. And we continue to work with NDOT on 231 bypass. The latest we hear it's going to be about 2014, unless Travis has anything new on that. They may actually start purchasing property out in the county before that, but that looks like it's about as early as we're going to see anything happening on 231. The city purchased the old National Bank drive-through. We made a payment on it last year, and a final payment will be on it this, I think, around March the 1st. And our object of that is to make that into downtown parking. We're going to remove the building and try to maximize the parking spaces. We think we can get about 40 parking spaces. And again, that is to help the downtown area and help the parking problem that we have down there. Moving on to city departments. First one is the Arts Department. You got a new face out there. Darla Blasey, who did a great job for the Arts Department, has moved on and working for state tourism. And Kit Miracle is the new director. She was a part-time employee for the Parks Department, and after an extensive search by members of the Art Board, made the recommendation to have Kit take over as director, and it was a very wise choice. Had a sold-out performance for the Performer Series for the first time in 31 years, Adam, including Marie Osmond. It had 2 sold-out performances, and it was a big hit. I hope everybody here had an opportunity to see that. This year, we surpassed $100,000 in ticket revenues, which combined with grants and monies reduced the dependence on the city budget by $66,000. Other performing arts There was 14 of them, events, theater residency, art lectures, gallery exhibits, visual arts, instructional classes, programs, and educational workshops, plus partner in education classes, and the children's theater performance utilizing local children. One of the big things that's going to be happening out in the area of the arts is that's the renovation and expansion. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we do know that arts are becoming more popular here in Jasper and in the area, and the project will include additional classrooms, galleries and restrooms, office space, expanded theater. Now the main theater is going to stay the same numbers, but we'll actually have a smaller theater for the backstage series and productions such as that. Conference areas, they have a green and a backstage green room and a backstage. Funding through this, again, is going to be a real key factor, and that is going to depend a lot on donations from the community. To date, they have $53,000, and the time frame is anybody's guess because it's something that we have to work on through the city budget to help with this project. The Arts Center co-hosted with Vincennes University Jasper Center. The 9th District Congressional Debate was held there. I want to give a lot of praise to Dr. Alan Johnson on putting that together. It was aired on CNN, and it was really a top-notch job. The Chalk Walk always continues to be a favorite activity of the Arts Department, and they co-sponsor that with the Downtown Merchants, and they had over 794 participants, and as well as 2,000 visitors who viewed the chalk murals on the sidewalk around the square. Participated in hands-on activity, listened to music, and purchased artwork from the local artists. So it's a good opportunity to get people into town, people from outside, to spend new money in your town and your city that keeps circulating back time after time. The electric department, it installed underground infrastructure in Mill Street in the Windsong subdivision. Completed the installation of a SCADA system which monitors the electric system at each substation via radio communications, and this assists with the reports and the finding of outages and being able to fix them at a much quicker. The fire department responded to 293 calls. This is a low number for our community our size. I think it's due to the excellent training that our firemen get, and also the excellent publicity that the fire department does in fire safety. We kind of got this broke down. Well, let's just go on to this is kind of the calls that we've got. 2 hazardous condition special assists. You know, people were either trapped in an elevator or police needed to make an entry, so the fire department was on standby to help with that. You know, again, we'll talk about fire safety, the good intents, visit the schools and training and just promoting good fire safety. At 27 actual fires, 68 rescue or EMT assist, and 70 false alarms, and 95 calls of service for the helicopter assist. Every time the helicopter lands at Memorial Hospital, a fire department or emergency responders are required to be there. We also have a mutual aid agreement with fire departments, and here Jasper is assisting Huntingburg on their 4th Street fire, and we would always want to be the assister rather than the assistee. So it's a great combination that we have with all the area fire departments, and anybody has a fire and they're in trouble and they need help, all the area fire departments will chip in and answer that call. The gas and water department. The water department pumped over 762 gallons of safe, great tasting water treated with fluoride. I don't know if you have watched that or seen that there's more cavities coming in, and they think it's from people drinking this bottled water all the time. It transported over 875 million cubic feet of natural gas to customers, responded to 3,101 underground locates. That's almost averages 12 a day. accepted over 6,000 feet of new water mains and over 5,000 feet of new gas mains into the system. This is Alan Mendel, who works at the water treatment laboratory. He's tested over 1,900 samples of water, raising over $40,000 in revenue. Testing water from swimming pools, cisterns, wells, Holiday World, and there's a charge for that, so it helps offset your water rates. And one of their big projects that they did was correct the low pressure on the gas, natural gas on the southeast side of Jasper by installing a dedicated feeder line to help with Master Brand and their plants out on Meridian Road. The Parks Department, last year they dedicated the sports complex. There's a picture of the Ralph Heath Field, and served over 1,200 boys and girls utilized this facility, which includes 4 Little League fields, 2 Babe Ruth fields, 5 girls slow and fast-pitched softball fields. All the fields are lighted and irrigated, and you can see the concession stand in the background. Schrader Complex will be converted to soccer fields. They will all be lighted and irrigated. We'll have 12 fields. 685 boys and girls ages 4 or 14 have been registered to play soccer. Youth football fields will be ready in the fall of 2007. It's located across 2nd Street from the soccer complex. It'll be working on the lighted fields west of the Alumni Stadium, who is formerly the Little League and girls softball fields. This field is for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade football, and they anticipate over 200 participants in that program. The tree project. I'm sorry that Dan Ware is not here. Dan is a member of our park board, and this is a project that he led. Came up knowing something about forestry and being involved in it, I think, on his own property. Realized that the city of Jasper had several pieces of property where they had timber on, and as he checked on just a glance, he saw a lot of it was deteriorating. So what we're doing is harvesting trees. This is along the golf course, probably number 7 there. And we have property out at Beaver Lake, and going to harvest and allow the young trees to grow. We think that we may realize it's close to $100,000 in timber off of this property, which would have gone and decayed. And they tell me once a tree gets so big and starts decaying, it uses more oxygen than it produces. So we're actually going to help nature here by thinning this out and allow future trees to grow. Personnel and Safety Department and Loss Control. Jasper continues to have an excellent safety record. We received the InSharp certificate from the Indiana Department of Labor, which recognized Jasper for reaching the highest standards of workers' health and safety. Jasper is the only municipality in Indiana to achieve this status. What we're trying to do is make sure all of our workers go home every evening after they get off of work safely. I could say that some of them go to the bars, but we mean that they're going to go home after work safely. This is an actual city project. It was down by the train depot, and the trench box was in place. The workers that were down in that could have easily been hurt, if not killed, by the collapse that you see there. Police department, we've got new faces at the police department. Many of you know that Chief Gunselman retired after a very distinguished career at the police department and appointed Doug Tarvin as the new police chief. He just recently spoke to the Kiwanis. And Jeff Carey is the assistant police chief. And the recent retirees was Chief Gunselman, Assistant Chief Kirk Smith, Mike Fowler, and Lieutenant and Assistant Chief J.P. Whiteside. And we've just gotten word that Mick Cammon, who will have 20 years on the police department, will be retiring here in the first part of 2007. New officers on the force are Jeremy Berger and Jason Canese. We're going through the process of doing a hire at this time. Another new officer, Max, the K-9 officer. Max is the one laying on the floor. Mike Stallman is the one kneeling. Police department had over 9,895 calls for service in 2006. That's 808 more than 2005. So as we continue to grow, so does the activity of the police department. The street department, you can't hardly say enough about the street department with Street Commissioner Ramey Eckerly. He continues to have an aggressive program to get all the streets and maintenance up for repaving schedule. And I know it's been questioned, why are they out there paving that street? It looks perfectly good to me. And there's cracking on it, and what we're talking about is milling it off the top and putting an overlay on it, and keeps it from 2 years later. We could have had maybe 2 years life, but we're going full depth and costing a lot more money of taxpayers' dollars. We're going to look at the city calendar here. It just shows the activities of the street department. Over 21,000 tons of asphalt material was used for paving projects. 6.5 new street miles to the city of Jasper were paved and overlaid. 9 tons of rubberized crack filler was applied, and again, this saves the surface of the street, keeps moisture from getting down and causing potholes. We had 2 miles of added streets through annexation, cleaned over 1,000 feet of ditches along Division Road, and installed almost 3,000 feet of new storm sewer pipe, including 31 inlets as part of the Mill Street widening and ditch closing project. Repaired a large collapse on South Newton Street. This is a picture of it. Again, one of the things you can really depend on Ramey for and his crew is when there's construction being taken place, that he has somebody that tries to be there every day, if not 2 or 3 times a day, to make sure that what's being installed by a contractor is being put in right the first time. This is a new project on South Newton Street. We're relatively new. It was still during my term. Maybe I'm been around too long, but that it just collapsed, and it had to be damaged when it was put in. So part of that is being there when it's being installed the first time, and the city and the taxpayers are paying good money to have that project done. Replaced and improved and installed new storm sewers structures as part of the Truman Road project. Painted 350 gallon of yellow center line. How'd that street of Chestnut get in there from Huntingburg? I'll tell you, we can't trust that mayor at all. Look at him slipping that picture of a Huntingburg street in there. We painted 150 gallon of white edge marking. This one was really at Huntingburg, wasn't it? Jack? No? Okay. Project for 2007 included widening of Meridian Road between College Avenue and 3rd Avenue, the reconstruction of a portion of County Road 400 West, reconstruction of a portion of Darbridge Street after the hospital construction is complete, reworking of major storm sewer failures at Church Avenue, Ramos Road, Carroll Street, Baden-Strauss, Newton Street between 34th and Riling Drive. And we're going to be initiating in 2007, I know we talked about this before, replacement of deteriorating sidewalk program. Moving on to the wastewater department. Completed construction of 2 new biosolid drying beds. Recycled 364 tons of dry weight biosolids used as farm fertilizer. Relined over 2,500 feet of sewers. Inspected 82 new connections to our sewers, treated 680 million gallons of water, inspected 302 sewer laterals on houses being sold. And I know this wasn't real popular with the realtors at the beginning, but I think this has been a great thing for the people selling the house, buying the house, because it knows where everybody stands. Installed emergency generator at Badendorf 2 lift station. And 2 more lift stations will receive emergency generators in 2007. Talking just a little bit about building permits. In Jasper, we had over $26.5 million of new construction in 2006 and 991 building permits. So I'm going to try and wrap this thing up, and in conclusion here, show you an organizational chart of the city of Jasper. And you see what's up at the top of that chart. It's the citizens. They're running this operation. And as you look down through there, you see the common council, the mayor, and the clerk treasurer. And you look kind of everything up, and there's probably 25 different departments. So if you can kind of picture this as a big corporation, where you have 25 different divisions, and you look on the next sheet, expenses or budget. Civil City is $13 million. Revenue, taxes that we take in, $13 million. Now, $5 million of that is property taxes. The rest comes from edit, COIT, local road and street funding, user fees, interest that is accrued on money invested in other miscellaneous funds. We have assets in the Civil City of $33,800,000, and that's at the time they were purchased or built. Now, actual value of that is probably double, if not more. And its assets excludes the infrastructure. We have 107 miles of roadway that is not included in that asset, nor our stormwater system. If you look at utilities, it's $35 million in expenses. Revenue, we take in $37 million. That's your rates that you pay. And their assets, their water treatment plant, wastewater, power plant, over $62 million. And that is probably low because that's at the value of when it was purchased. You total all that up, you got $48 million in expenses, $50 million in revenues, and close to $100 million in assets. Jasper is big business anymore for a community our size. There's no way of getting around it. And as I talked about earlier, we have a great city and we have a lot of good services that we provide to the citizens. I'm going to kind of wrap this up with, for all these services, there's a price to pay. It's called taxes. The last couple of years, the state legislature has made it difficult to run city government or local government. The elimination of the inventory tax affected Jasper's budget by $400,000 for 2007. That $400,000 equates to $77 million in AV, or assessed value. Although we grew last year in assessed value, or AV, from annexation and just normal growth, it was not enough to offset the assessed value of the inventory tax. In 2006, this really gets complicated, but so try to pay attention and hang with me here. In 2006, the city's tax rate was 60 cents per 100 AV. When we received our 2007 certified approval from the State Department of Local Government Finance, our maximum levy was a 4% increase over 2006, which, as you've seen in the growth that we had, the annexations, it only makes sense. And our tax rate would have been 64 cents. The council went to bat for the taxpayers and says, we don't want to raise that much. So they reduced the 2007 tax levy to stay the same as the 2006. Basically, this year, we're going to operate off of the same tax dollars in 2007 with the growth that we had at the same amount of money we did in 2006. And that cut $211 from the 2007 budget. But it didn't cut our tax rate back to 60 cents. It's going to be about 62 cents. It cut from 64 to 62. So what's happening here, it's called the tax shuffle. We're taking taxes, the money that we need to operate cities, towns, local government, and they're taking it from, in this case, inventory, and putting it on the homeowners or property owners. So it's shuffling that. We're not getting any more money to operate our city on, but different people are paying it. You're paying it if you're a property owner. As I reported earlier, we have annexed new areas which require more services. As a future warning to our city residents, we cannot keep cutting budgets and provide the same quality of service as we have in the past. So just throwing that out there. So if you want to keep the same service, things need to be done. Talk to your legislators, I guess, and say, pay attention to what local folks in the cities and towns are saying. We have an initiative called Hometown Matters. which is would allow cities and towns, counties, local government to create different taxes to offset property taxes, such as a local income tax, a local sales tax, food and beverage tax, those type of things, which we are not allowed to do presently. So the legislature and the governor and all the people in the state are looking at this, and hopefully they'll come out with some real answers this time. But I want to leave you with this. The City of Jasper service policy. The taxpayers are the most important people in the city. The taxpayers deserve our most courteous and attentive treatment. The taxpayers do not interrupt our work. They are the purpose of it. The taxpayers bring their needs. It is our job to fulfill them. The taxpayers do not depend on us. We depend on them. The taxpayers are a part of the city. They are not an outsider. So with that, going back to that organizational chart, that puts you right at the top of the whole scheme of things. We're here. We don't own the city. We're just here attending the shop for you. So thank you.
This evening's rebroadcast of the Jasper State of the City address has been brought to you exclusively by Springs Valley Bank and Trust, where the focus is on you.